Fresh off fashioning a supremely accurate heavy metal family tree wherein Accept was listed as a power metal band, Children of Bodom as thrash metal, and one in which a new wave of American metal, including not one band any newer than 20 butt fucking years, is apparently a goddamn thing. Perennial Postmaster General Sam Dunn is back with a fresh ladling of British Columbian cuckoldry. After filming the most slipshod documentary since Fahrenheit 9/11 and fresh from reaming Steve Harris's Anglo asshole with Iron Maiden for a tour documentary that amounts to a 5-hour fucking infomercial, Sam Dunce is back yet again with the most harrowing threat to all metalldom. Bag it on them bitches!
It's strange to walk into a room and almost no one looks like you. You know, that kind of, that there's, even the most welcoming space, it is kind of alienating to be the only person who is like visibly presenting as a woman. It's been both incredibly welcoming and incredibly fraught, and those sort of things have been at war with each other pretty much the whole time that I've been in the metal community. It's like, I love this so much, and this is obviously where my home is, and also I'm always a little bit on the outside of it at the same time.
Yeah, and outside of the carpentry aisle at Home Depot or a butch bar called the No-Fly Zone, I suspect that's a familiar phenomenon for you, Diabetosaurus. So wait, when you're not sleeping on a bandsaw, you feel, and I quote, alienated by the mere act of entering any space where no one looks like you? Yeah, I'll take shit you could say of absolutely any metalhead irrespective of gender for 500, Alex.
You didn't have to cut your hair, did you?
No, I'll tell you what happened there. I decided I would have a bit of a chop. No, I mean, not as short as it is now. And two things happened. One, somebody went, "Oh my God, you look 10 years younger," and I went, "You may be right." And the other thing, which I found curious and actually very disappointing, was that people treated me in an entirely different manner. To strangers, people like that, people would smile at me more. People, when you walk around a supermarket, I suddenly realized that before people were looking at me as if I was about to steal something, and now they didn't. And it was a curious and very disappointing discovery about human nature and the assumptions that people make.
What do you think, they throw me a fucking parade when the guy in a leather jacket and a bullet belt saunters into pick and save? From the outset, we've already hit the operative malady that is contemporary third wave feminism, folks. To permit perpetual victimhood is to permit the would-be victim in question to project said victimhood into perfectly innocuous social strata where it is never once in danger of being applicable. If I sashay into a sanctuary in all my pallid pentagram-bedecked splendor, I suspect I'll wrangle a shitty looker 17. But if that causes me to feel alienated or victimized without for a moment considering the environment and my place in it, well, there's a word for that, fucknuts. Social anxiety disorder. Pop a pill and shut the fuck up, hipsterella.
Honestly, it's a question of safety when it comes to me. I feel like any woman should be as comfortable walking into any show or any kind of space or participating online in exactly the same way that a man who's a fan should. Right. And if there are differences in the kind of safety and also the kind of like treatment and just sort of like engagement and courtesy and respect that women receive in those spaces, then there's a problem.
You're in the mosh pit at a Slayer show. What do you think's gonna break out here? A decoupage seminar? I don't want to feel safe at a metal show. I want to stand ass to elbow with more bleary-eyed burnouts than a Seth Rogen film screening, breathing the briny blend of secondhand hoobastank and hobo farts. By the end of that show, I want more cigarette burns than the fuck bag from Hellraiser 3. The only safe space at a metal show is the shitter! And even that only gets you to 50-50. Bottom line, bitch, if you feel unsafe at a metal show, welcome to the exclusive club of the fucking most of us. When I meander into the Morbid Angel show and eye makeup, you think the Beer Gut Brigade erects a float in my honor and throws me a fucking parade? No! You knock them on their ass or gank their girlfriend, and they gain a newfound respect for you. Whether you have balls, a vag, or a pan-gendered proto-peen, this is metal. Why do you think 90% of Motorhead's discography details the travails of fighting and fucking? It's clannish bullshit, and we like it that way. If you find that off-putting, might I recommend the shoegazing hipster poetry slam 6 doors down? Fuck's sake, you live in Toronto, where bad poetry outnumbers people by a 9-to-1 ratio. Point being, metal persists in spite of menses. If you want to be one of the boys, put your feminist homilies into practice and stand up to a fucker like the rest of us. Case in fucking point.
As you know, recently there's been some experiences of women in bands primarily who have been experiencing a lot of problems. Obviously, the Mercure front woman receiving death threats. There was the experience of Wax Idols and King Woman discuss leaving Pentagram tour over harassment. I mean, these are very real experiences.
Harassment. On tour! Man, fuck this! You want to talk harassment? Take it away, Motorhead.
We went out to Europe. We'd been told that there was this gang of so-called teddy boys going around Hamburg, just gate-crashing venues, kicking the shit out of the punters and leaving. Sure enough, about 70 or 80 of these so-called teddy boys burst in through the front doors and just started picking on the punters. We just jumped off the stage and took these guys on. And I'm beating the shit out of some guy with a mic stand when Fast Eddie comes flying by me, literally, like Superman.
I can see the one I want, but he's getting away and he's got this bottle. So I've launched myself. Because we're fucking mad, So I've gone flying past everybody. And as I'm going through the air, I'm thinking, fuck, I hope I can get his head and land on him. Fortunately, it all went according to plan. I got hold of his head, pushed him on the floor and fell on top of him.
Anyway, we walked back into the venue, we got a standing ovation for the audience. The band went on stage and played and everybody loved it.
This is not a female thing. It's a touring fucking band thing. Pay up and nut up, you nappy-headed Hermie.
First up, we've got a comment from Sarah Laverne Vane, or Vaughn. Excuse me, I don't typically look metal, and if I have a conversation with male metalheads, I usually get questioned. You like Gojira? What's the band members' names? Tool, eh? Can you name all their albums in fucking order?
Okay, so this is a phenomenon I like to call the pop quiz, which is one of my favorite/least favorite microaggressions.
Okay, first off, even if we accept your vacuous verbiage, there's nothing micro about someone aggressively approaching you and demanding you produce your metalliferous bona fides. I get that the moment you traipse on into one of those Ontario internment camps, they power inject these vacuous buzzwords into your Cheeto cake jowls like Bruce Jenner in a Botox factory, but maybe the next time you part your 5 chins and drop the M-bomb, first consider whether or not it's actually goddamn applicable, and on what planet? In what solar system? In what depraved concentric circle jerk of Sarkeesian inferno is this phenomenon even remotely reserved for women? The word poser existed before you were an errant DNA strand on Rosie O'Donnell's turkey baster. What in flying fuck did you think that was in reference to? You think a glammed up prick like me gets to wade into the sea of goat beards and camo cargo shorts that comprises the average Venom or Inquisition audience without being grilled like a Nuremberg witness? And do you think the fact that this broad inexplicably keeps finding herself hosting the metal edition of Jeopardy might have a little more to do with her frock than her fallopian tubes, seeing as she prefaced said question by specifying that she does not, and I quote, dress metal?
Excuse me, I don't typically look metal.
And if I had to venture a guess as to why the Duchess of Shrill has to play 20 questions, may I hazard the radical theory that it may have something to do with the fact that you look like the city of Portland blew its wad on your face, neck, and chest? Metalheads are a libertarian lot, and care remarkably little for how you dress or don't, but don't eschew the unofficial uniform, then feign indignation when someone mistakes you for a fucking Mary Kay rep. I don't pirouette into a police station in a slingback thong and a smile, then shriek about microaggressions when someone asks to see my fucking badge. Dress the part, be treated like the part, motherfucker. As true for a cock as it is for a cunt.
For me, it's about the fact that I think you shouldn't have to be seen as a threat or excluded or marginalized if you're different from some kind of normative masculinity.
And to that end, we'll now present ourselves as a threat to metal and its fans by arguing that its culture, wardrobe, and even the lyrical content should be augmented to cater to the very same unbending, cloistered Toronto twattery that gave us gleaming gems like the slut walk and literally every lying word that's ever spilled from the Rouge retardation dispenser attached to Anita Sarkeesian's mangled mug. Do you feel reassured? I know I fucking do. Oh, but at least he gives the following disclaimer.
We're not really talking about censorship here, in my opinion. That's a separate conversation.
Well, thanks for that princely little platitude. I know I feel sufficiently placated. Never mind barking up the wrong tree. You're in the wrong goddamn orchard. The one from the end of Cobra, where Stallone's wasting more shitbags than the heroin epidemic. If censorship is not the implicit admonition on offer here, may I politely inquire how you intend to effect said change? Prayer chains, drum circles, habitual recitation of the word patriarchy?
We're not here to talk about Cannibal Corpse covers or Tipper Gore. We're talking about, although we could talk about Tipper Gore and those outfits.
Never mind could, try should, you ginger jackass, because what ended with government-mandated censorship you claim you're not advocating started with conversations, many of them televised by panels just like this, on the problematic nature of sexism and violence in metal in the 1980s.
Used to be Elvis, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. Now it's Megadeth, Motley Crue, Twisted Sister. Hey, Mom, is it only rock and roll? Or are kids on a downgrade spiral of drugs, sex, and possibly death?
I don't feel that our group is telling heavy metal groups that they can't sing about certain topics. I think groups should and can sing
Can
about
they sing about anything they want, or the penis, the vagina, anything they want to sing
right,
about?
and they do, and they do.
Listen, let's hear what's going on.
That is the topic. It's a totally voluntary agreement. We're not the ones who make the decisions about which albums get labeled. It's a decision made between the artist and the record company.
And when confronted with a censorious horseshit, unlike these tremulous thunder slags, a true feminist icon, guitar goddess, egomaniac, and self-professed reincarnation of Beethoven herself, the Great Cat, had a rebuttal of her own for the Stuffed Shirt Syndicate.
Hey, come back here! Hey, I had to say something. Come back here and suck my
And I'll guarantee you she has one.
Metal will never cater to you, or anyone the fuck else for that matter. It's a wild bronco that will never be tamed, and you sobbing in the corner about your rapidly withering worldview failing to be catered to fucking perpetually will never goddamn change that. You meet metal on its own terms, or in the immortal words of Manowar, wimps and posers, leave the hall! I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed! Heavy metal!
I would just ask, what are you rebelling against? You're rebelling against the dominant hegemony, the people who are in power. You know who are in power? White dudes. Like, just straight up, you are.